Hello, adventurers, travelers, and friends, and welcome to Braggworthy Adventures. Today we are going to talk about passports. Now, this is going to be step 3 in our process of a Braggworthy adventure. This is part of eliminating the barriers. So step 1 was deciding where in the world do you want to go. So I picked my places. I know where I want to go. Most of it's like right here. And you should have picked yours. You could use your bucket list. You could go online and do some research and pick where you want to go. Number 2 is figuring out how much it's going to cost so that you can budget for your trip. You can start saving money or deciding how you're going to fund your travel and know relatively what it's going to cost. Now, one of the things you need to get before you can go anywhere in the world, if you're a United States citizen, is a passport. Now, the reason you need a passport is because they won't let you leave the country or come back in without one. So it's a very important part, and I'm making this step 3 of the Braggworthy Adventure travel plan, is getting your passport, because I feel like once you've made something possible for yourself, you're much more motivated to make it happen. I'm only really talking about passports for the US because I'm a US citizen, so this is what I know. So let's talk about first the passport options. You can get a passport book. This is a passport book. They also have passport card options. The card and the book both last 10 years, allow you to go outside of the US and come back. Both cost money. The passport card's cheaper than the passport book, but the passport card does not allow you to travel outside of the US via plane. So no air travel, whereas the passport book does. That's something to keep in mind if you're only going to be driving or going on a boat trip outside the US for the next 10 years. Get the card. I prefer to get the book. I don't like to have any limitations. I want to be able to go anywhere in the world. There are multiple timelines possible for getting your passport. The standard is a 6 weeks process. After you've submitted all of your information, it can take 6 weeks and they'll send it back to you. If you're in a rush, you can pay extra money. I think it's $60 to get it expedited. If you are in a crazy rush, there are 27 locations where you can go, submit it, and get it back within, I think it's like a week. Hopefully you are not putting anything to that last minute. If you do need to get it super, super quickly and you need to go to one of those locations to get it right away, you have to prove that you're going out of the country within, a very tight period, and you have to have an appointment. If you're going the standard way, that's what I'm going to be doing. I know I'm holding my passport book. This is still valid, but it's got the wrong name. So I need to renew this with my new married name. Bragg is my last name now. Braggworthy Adventures is where that comes from, if you didn't know. But this has my maiden name. So I will be getting this renewed, and I'll kind of show you what it's like in the process. So the first thing you need to do is fill out an application, or one of the forms that are required. So I will be filling out a specific form that may be different than yours if you are getting a brand new first ever passport. I found these amazing sites that have information on how to know which form you need. I also found this awesome link that I'll have below on kind of a quiz that you get to take, so you can say why you're getting a passport, when you need it, and it'll tell you how much it'll cost and what form you'll need and all the info you'll need based on your answers. So that's probably the best place to start. So this is part of the website where you can see all the different forms and what they're for. Once you have that form filled out, you will also need to submit some forms of identification. So if you're getting your passport renewed, then you can send your old passport in. But you may need, if it's a new passport, you might need your birth certificate, photo ID. There's various options. I will list them. So the US government already has them listed on their website, but I will show you them. You can even turn in an expired passport. There are so many things you can do depending on if you are born in the US citizen or you've become a citizen later. We've got birth certificates, letter of no record, all sorts of things all on the site. One of the other things that you need to submit is the photo. So they don't just, it's not like you're going somewhere. When you're getting your passport, it's kind of hands off. With a driver's license, you know, you go into a DMV, they take your photo there. When you're getting a passport, you usually send it in the mail because it's not like a driver's license where you're going in and they're taking that photo of you. You need to supply the photo that will go on the passport. You actually have to give two photos, and there's quite a few places you can get them from. But keep in mind, as soon as people know it's a passport photo, it gets more expensive, right? So there are some cheap ways to get around this. I've done some research. Costco's one of the cheapest places to get a photo if you want them to do the photo for you. Otherwise, you can take the passport photo yourself and get it printed, and as long as like CVS or Walgreens doesn't know it's a passport photo, usually it's going to be like 14 cents rather than $14. There are rules for these photos. Nothing in the background, it's got to be a white background. You can't be having any sort of expression, like you can smile, but it's got to be a really neutral smile. You might want to just not smile so it doesn't get returned to you and not done, but you can't wear any sort of like gear. Your ears usually have to be showing, so you tuck your hair. A couple of other things are you have to have an off-white background. You can't have glasses on, the photo has to be in the last 6 months, and the size is 2x2. Now if you're intimidated by all of the rules and stipulations for the photo and you just want to get it right, you can pay that extra money and go to CVS and Walgreens and they take the photo for you and print it. So it's really up to you. So I have some information on that I'll share with you. So you'll have your application, you'll have your identifying documents, you'll have your photo, and then you gotta give some moolah. So generally a passport, like if you're going to do the standard amount of time, it can take like 6 weeks to get back to you, and that's gonna be $110, and then it just goes up from there. It seems like a lot, but these last 10 years. So that means you're paying around $11 a year. And once you have your forms, your photo, and your application, you can ship them in the mail. Standard process, like I mentioned, is $110, and you ship them with your monies. Here is a really helpful chart on where you need to apply, or if you should be sending your passport by mail or doing it in person based on when you need it back. So if you're getting a first-time passport, you need to do that in person. Renewing your passport, routine or expedited, can be by mail. And then here is a site where you can find out where you would renew your passport, where those locations are. And then the next site I will show you is for if you need it in those 8 days. So these are the 27 locations all throughout the US for truly, truly speedy passport service. You get it back and you get a brand new book, and usually they'll send you the old book too, which is really nice because like mine has like my visa from when I worked in the UK and stamps from Costa Rica, and this is the passport I used when Michael and I went to Paris and got engaged. So I don't want to get rid of this, and I'll get it back. It'll just have a hole punch in it so that you know it's invalid. Keep your valid and invalid ones separately, because if you're running quick and you grab the wrong passport, you will be in trouble. So they will hole punch it, but you'll want to store that one separately. But that is the process for getting a passport. And then along with the passport book, if you fill it up, you know, like you've got all these stamps in here on all these pages, if you fill that up, you can get an additional book of extra pages, so that if you're still within that 10 years, then you can keep traveling and you don't have to get a whole new book. Get your passport, get that out of the way, have no barriers to your travel, to your Braggworthy adventure. You will feel freed, you'll feel ready to go, and you will have the third step done for your Braggworthy adventure. As always, thank you for watching and